Even more surprising than the Nationals being a good team up to this point in 2024, which, by the way, the Nationals are back up to 500. Trevor Williams. What has been going on? How has he been this good? I think I have an answer.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, you can check us out over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals there, and check us out over on Twitter at Locked On Nationals. Just search LO_Nationals. And of course, you can find myself on the bottom ticker there. Just check me out over at Ryan Clary 11. Later on in the show today, we'll be getting into Game 3 of this Nationals-Rangers series. The Nationals, again, I feel like this has been one of their bigger tests going up against the defending World Series champions. Obviously, they haven't been playing up to par, kind of what people thought they were going to be this year. But still, I don't care what you say. This is the World Series champs. To be the champs, you got to beat the champs. So will the Nationals win this series? We'll preview Game 3 a little bit later on, as Mitchell Parker is going to be taking on Nathan Eovaldi. We'll discuss that in the third segment of today's show. In the second segment, we got a little bit of a Nats outfield breakdown. It has been a very up and down season if you're a Washington Nationals outfielder. So we're going to kind of talk about some of the few guys, what has been impressive, what has not been all that impressive. We'll discuss it all in that second segment. But of course, I do want to start out with Trevor Williams and kind of why this pitching, and really just not even just Trevor Williams, but why this pitching as a whole has been what feels like so much better than last year. So we'll discuss that. But before that, today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. Game off, we got to talk more about Monopoly Go. This fast-paced game lets you team up with friends for tournaments to unlock awesome prizes like unique stickers for trading, cool playing pieces, and hilarious emojis for taunting your friends. So download Monopoly Go now, free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. So the Nationals, they won yesterday of a score of 1-0. And it really just came, or that's all it came with, was an Alex Call line drive to left fielder Evan Carter, and that drove in Ildemaro Vargas to put the Nationals up 1-0. And that's all it took. I did not expect that. I did not expect this Nationals team, especially with Trevor Williams on the mound, even considering all things that he has been a good pitcher this year, to come in and win a 1-0 ball game. It just doesn't happen, you know? We don't really win games like this. That's what I've always felt like. When the Nationals, over the last few years, back in the 2010s, it was a different story, but recently with these struggling Nationals over the last few years, we don't win 1-0 ball games. We're usually the ones who lose 1-0 ball games. And if you look at who was on the mound, Trevor Williams, considering all things here, Trevor Williams was unequivocally bad last year, having a 5.55 ERA in 2023. He started 30 games for this team last year, and it wasn't good. This was not a good season back in last season, considering all things when it comes to Trevor Williams. But now this year, through his 6 starts, he has been incredible. He's not getting all these strikeouts, but one thing that has been considerably better is, one, his whip, and number 2, he's pounding the strike zone. He is relying on his defense to actually get people out. And when people kind of talk about Trevor Williams, I was the first one to say this offseason, he should not be a starting pitcher. He should not be on this National starting staff. He should be in the bullpen, kind of playing that Javi Guerra role back in 2019 when you come out of the bullpen when you're losing by 5 runs and hopefully eats up a few innings, and that'll be his outing. That's kind of the role that I was hoping/expecting Trevor Williams to step in at some point this summer. But here's the thing. You can't bring him out of this rotation at this point. The way that he has been pitching, I mean, it has been incredible to watch. Last night in this ball game, he had 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts. And of course, in 2 situations, bases loaded, nobody out, Trevor Williams, in not just once, but twice. Let me reiterate that. Bases loaded, nobody out, gets out of the jam with 0 runs. That is insane. And I saw this stat this morning that I wanted to share here. And this is from MLB Opta stats, over the last 50 seasons since 1975, there have been 21,395 scoreless outings by MLB starters, regular and postseason, including on Wednesday. Only one of those 21,395 did so while facing a bases-loaded, no-out jam in 2 separate innings. That one was Trevor Williams on Wednesday. If you talk about this Nationals pitching staff, the history that Mitchell Parker was doing, for that you saw all these people putting out stats for having no walks over his first 2 starts, and how rare that is. Now with Trevor Williams, the way that he has been pitching, what's next? And you may ask yourself, what has been the key difference on this pitching staff? And not even just the starting pitching, but even the bullpen, who, there are some guys in there that you don't really want to see out there, like Tanner Rainey. There are some guys in the bullpen where they've struggled at times. Kyle Finnegan early on in the season, but still, he's been nails now recently. What has been the difference? I believe that the addition of Sean Doolittle on this pitching staff, and not on the pitching staff, but on the coaching staff, has been the world of differences for this team and the organization. Now, some people may be a little bit confused about Sean Doolittle's role. He's not the pitching coach. Jim Hickey is still the pitching coach. Sean Doolittle, the title of what he does is kind of irrelevant in my opinion, because this is the role I'm about to tell you right now. He is kind of the middleman between Jim Hickey, the analytics staff, and of course the pitching staff. That's kind of his role. Sean Doolittle was notorious for taking all these analytics and using them to his advantage. You see guys like Mackenzie Gore, very analytical thinker. Jake Irvin is considered probably the biggest analytical thinker amongst the Nationals pitchers. Now, some guys like Patrick Corbin may not be all that into it, but still you don't really see the same results for him. But when you talk about those guys, I'm assuming Mitchell Parker, I haven't really been able to get word from him yet, but I'm assuming Mitchell Parker, kind of being a young, one of these rising pitchers who has a lot of junk and uses it a lot, I'm assuming that he's also pretty heavy into analytics, but all these guys have a balance though. But the thing is, when people start talking about analytics in baseball, it kind of scares them away a little bit. And that's fine. I get it. Some people just want to say, I want to have the feels for the ball, and that's really it. I want to know what situation I'm in. I want to know what I can do that day. I don't really care about my spin rate. I don't care about my max exit velocity. I don't care about all this stuff. But the thing is that these are all facts. These are analytics. There's not opinions in these. These are real numbers that, can help you generate outs, can help you generate better pitching. I think Sean Doolittle, being the middleman for this Nationals analytics staff, for this Nationals pitching staff, has been the world of differences for this team. And I don't think at this point we can even really kind of comprehend how good and how much of a difference this has made for this team right now. But if you look at the numbers and really just all of these different guys that are pitching well, it kind of makes you think, what has happened? Because this is the same pitching staff really from last season. Have guys just gotten better? Sure. Has Mackenzie Gore taken a step up? Sure. Jake Irvin's looking pretty damn good. Mitchell Parker in his first few starts has looked really damn good. Yeah, these are all things considered here. But really, in years past, we have seen guys come up who are, Mitchell Parker's prospects like this doesn't happen here in DC. This does not happen. Jake Irvin coming in last year was a very pleasant surprise with how he pitched down the stretch. Mitchell Parker so far in 2024, very pleasant surprise. I don't think these things happen. I don't think these guys take a step up the way that they have this season without the help of Sean Doolittle. And of course, while we're at it, I think I should give Jim Hickey some credit too. Because Jim Hickey actually did kind of mix around Mackenzie Gore's windup a little bit and has him stepping to the left side of the plate there. And it's working out pretty damn well for him. That's what he did with Blake Snell, I believe, back in 2017 when he won the Cy Young Award, but I could be mixing up those years. But Jim Hickey, again, a respected pitching coach, someone who's had Cy Young winners on his rotation, considering Blake Snell and all the others as well, has had some very good staffs back in the day. But I think Sean Doolittle has made the biggest difference as far as this Nationals pitching staff goes. And if you look at Trevor Williams and what he has done this season, it's hard kind of not to imagine that this guy is just really good out of nowhere. Now, is it sustainable? That's the million-dollar question. But we're on May 1st, and yesterday was May 1st, obviously, which, by the way, happy May. But 6 starts, a 2.27 ERA, a 1.168 whip, a 2.88 fielding independent pitching. This is all sort of things that I was not expecting in 2024 from Trevor Williams. But it's happening. And again, 6 starts, 31 2/3 innings pitched, and a 2.27 ERA. Unbelievable. Thank you for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, check us out over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals there. And then when you find us over on YouTube, go over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us over on there as well. So next, let me tell you guys a few things about this Nationals outfield, something that I have noticed. And of course, we got to pause you here for a break for some of our good friends over at FanDuel. And guys, it's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and much, much more. So, of course, you got the Sixers and you got the New York Knicks. And, of course, I'm a Josh Harris fan. I'm going to ride with the Sixers. And if you want to do that, you just sprinkle a little money on that money line. I think it's a pretty fun thing. But, of course, if you do that, do it with FanDuel, because all you have to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. Again, visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Let me say it for you one more time. FanDuel.com/lockedon, because FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Again, that is FanDuel.com/lockedon. Now, let me tell you guys about some of our very good friends, some of a very fun game to play as well at our friends over at Monopoly Go. And guys, all right, game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying. Flag of the play, you already talked about that. There's just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock, and there's so much to get. There's unique stickers you can trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes, cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and download it now, free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, you can check us out over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals there. And then when you do that, hop on over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, whatever it is. Just search Locked On Nationals and hit a subscriber button, please. Now let's get into it. The Nationals outfield has had a very weird season. Lane Thomas, a lot of people that were expecting to be pretty damn good this year, obviously has a knee injury at this point. He is on the IL, and at this point, you're going to take it slow with him coming back. So we'll see him probably within the next few weeks maybe, but who knows? Really, we don't really have a necessarily set in stone timeline for the kids, so we'll see what that means. But as far as the other kind of main pieces right now, Victor Robles is down rehabbing in the minors, so we'll kind of leave him out of this equation. But the 4 guys I want to look at right now: Eddie Rosario, Jesse Winker, Jacob Young, and Alex Cole. This Nationals outfield it's almost as if it's a land of misfit toys, you know? You have Eddie Rosario, who wasn't signed until midway through spring training. You have Jesse Winker, who was signed to a minor league deal at the beginning of spring training. You have Alex Cole, who's kind of your prototypical 4A player, someone who is too good for AAA, but may not be that good enough for the major league roster. Then you have Jacob Young, in my opinion, your prototypical 4th outfielder, someone you want off the bench, someone who's going to steal a bunch of bags, which, by the way, first time he was caught stealing yesterday was completely bogus. one of the better streaks in Major League history as far as going and steal bases without getting caught. Jacob Young got screwed over there. I did want to mention that here real quick, but getting back into what we wanted to talk about with this outfield. Let's start with Eddie Rosario. At first, when the Nationals made this signing, I was like, this makes sense. You have a veteran coming in here, someone who has won an NLCS MVP back with the Braves, someone who has even hit the baseball really well in last season. This is a good signing. This is someone who is a veteran guy, a good clubhouse guy, first and foremost. And also, Davey Martinez immediately talked about his base running ability and how smart of a baseball player he is. And, when you're a young team, you need guys like this. You need your Trevor Williams in the door. You need your Patrick Corbins to be around the starting staff in order to kind of train the young guys into how to be a pro every single day and get out there and attack the day and what the routine is. These things do matter. The stuff that we don't see as fans, the stuff we don't even see as media members, it's all important. It all adds up, and it's all a little piece to the pie. But Eddie Rosario so far, it's been bad. It's been awful. I'm not even going to get into his hitting numbers. I'm not even going to get into his defensive metrics, but I'll just put it this way. It's May 2nd. Eddie Rosario has been playing basically every single day. He has not had a hit since April 17th. What are we doing? At this point in time, I know the Nationals are, in a bad situation as far as outfielders go. You have Lane Thomas on the IL. You have Victor Robles down in the minors. All these things considered, Eddie Rosario at this point, what are we doing? I got a guy named Stone Garrett down in the minors. Wouldn't you think Stone Garrett would be ready at this point? Maybe he's not, but still, I know he hasn't been hitting the cover off the baseball like he was last season with the Nats, but still, at least he's hitting. Eddie Rosario hasn't gotten a hit since April 17th. This is bad. This is not good. This is not someone that you can just continue to roll out there in the lineup every single day. It's starting to be a little bit weird at this point as to why Eddie Rosario continues to get at bats. And again, I thought Eddie Rosario was going to work out. He's one of those guys where it's kind of the Jeimer Candelario effect of last year. You sign him, a veteran who has been very successful in the past. You flip him at the deadline for a meh prospect. But at this point, you got to be able to hit. You got to play a good defense. You got to get on base. He's doing really none of that up to this point. So Eddie Rosario has been a not so pleasant surprise, but someone who has been a pleasant surprise, besides over the last few games, has been Jesse Winker. Jesse Winker, again, we were talking about this, I believe, last week at this point. He's been the unsung hero of this Nationals team, being a big leader in the clubhouse. And again, I can't reiterate how much and how important it was in that first series with Trey Lipscomb in Cincinnati after he got that first hit. Seeing Jesse Winker kind of go over there, congratulate his guy on getting the first hit, going out of his way to do that, that's a big deal. Picking up the young guys. This is what Eddie Rosario and Jesse Winker have to be doing. That is their role. That is their number one priority as far as it goes for me. But Jesse Winker has been good. The numbers have been very well. But here's the thing. Over the last 3 games, he's 0 for 10 with 2 RBIs. 0 for 10. You can't do that. At this point, this Nationals outfield has kind of gone MIA, if you're understanding the point here. They haven't really been playing up to par. Now, is there a big overwhelming issue with this? But still, I don't think there is because, again, these shouldn't be the guys that we judge this off of. But even then, if you look at guys like Alex Call, he has been, it's only been a handful of games, but he's been good. He has more walks and strikeouts. It's kind of something that we saw last year. He takes a lot of walks. He's got a very good eye. And I remember this, and it kind of stuck out to me last season when Alex Cole said, I feel like I'm the best 2-strike hitter in baseball. He's got a point. When his back is against the wall, he's got a tight zone there. He knows what's a ball, what's a strike. He knows the zone very well. And I think that kind of sticks out for him. And Alex Cole, again, the scrappiest Nat by far. That's something that we have seen from time to time now, even dating back to last season. The guy's going to put his nose in the ground and work his butt off. So I always loved Alex Cole, but I want to get into Jacob Young. Jacob Young at this point has been probably the best surprise of this 2024 season, and even going back to last year when he first made his debut back in August. Jacob Young has been really good. This is not going to be someone who will be your starting right fielder. for a postseason team. He's not going to be your starting center fielder or hell, even your left fielder. But what Jacob Young is, he has carved himself out a role. And not just a role for this team, but for the Nationals winning team down the line. This is going to be your fourth outfielder. This is going to be kind of your clubhouse guy who you can depend on. Someone that you're going to put in bad situations. You can kind of come up and clean up the mess. You can place him in right field. You can place him in center. You can place him in left field, and he'll play pretty decent out there. But ultimately, what this guy will do, and we've had this a lot as Nationals fans in the past, when you're in a postseason race, you're in the ninth inning, it's a tie ball game. You need someone to pinch run for, let's say, name that Joey Gallo. Just put him, not Joey, he's actually a pretty good runner. Let's say Keibert Ruiz. Jacob Young will be that guy to go in there. Just the way that he is a very smart, very high IQ baseball player, very good on the bases, pretty good in the outfield, pretty damn good at the plate. He is one of those guys where it's like, you know, when someone says, I don't know a lot about a little, but I know a little about a lot. Jacob Young knows a little about a lot. He's really good at a little about baseball. Like he's just sprinkled in really good at everything. It's not like he doesn't really necessarily have this flooded tool bag, but what he does have is, number one, he is a threat on the bases. That is unequivocally not a debate. But he's pretty good at fielding. He's pretty good at the plate. And when you're a fourth outfielder, that's kind of what you're looking for in order to gel that person into being that fourth outfielder, into being a role player for this team. That's what I see for Jacob Young. That's the way I kind of envisioned him going forward with this Nationals team. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, check us out over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals there. That is where you'll find us. And of course, just search Locked On Nats wherever you get your podcast. You'll find us over on there. Next, let's preview Mitchell Parker versus Nathan Eovaldi. But before that, I'm going to tell you guys about some of our very good friends over at PrizePicks. And guys, spring training is over and baseball season is officially underway. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your PrizePicks entries, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs. Take your pick of more or less and add them to your PrizePicks entry today. And of course, get on the playoff action. Went up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason. So of course, maybe you would go for the Sixers again. And we were talking about this earlier with FanDuel, but now we want to talk about it with PrizePicks. Maybe you want to go up on the Knicks. Maybe you want to go down on the Sixers. Whatever you may thinking, you can do this with our friends over at PrizePicks. And of course, PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions and special offers for the biggest moments in sports. PrizePicks now offers Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account this basketball season. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that is download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, check us out over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals there. That is where you'll find us. And of course, that is where you'll find the best Nationals podcast, your daily Nationals podcast for the Washington Nationals. So Mitchell Parker gets to take on Nathan Eovaldi today. Obviously, no one has ever faced Mitchell Parker up in the majors. This is going to be his fourth major league start. He's got a 1.69 ERA in those starts, but Nathan Eovaldi, on the other hand, very good starter. And again, not that much experience against Eovaldi. But here's the thing. Eddie Rosario is the one National who has really had a lot of work against Nathan Eovaldi, and he's got a 250 batting average, a 750 OPS, and 16 at-bats. He's got a home run, a couple RBIs, but even then, furthermore than that, you don't really have all that many people who have faced him. So this is going to be kind of one of those rare matchups where I don't really know what to expect. But here's the thing, what I know about Nathan Eovaldi. This is a big game pitcher. When you need a win, Eovaldi is one of those guys where I think I want him out there. He's one of those guys where you go into the postseason stretch, you want him on the bump in a big game situation. I'm not saying this is it's May 2nd, but you got to win the series. Now you're going up against Mitchell Parker, though. Mitchell Parker, all this kid has shown us so far is that he is ready for the moment. He wants the moment. He wants the ball on a big game. Maybe you go out there against this Rangers team in a day game here to win the series, get over the 500 threshold, and have a winning record after today. Imagine that for a second. The Nationals could have a winning record against this Rangers team. That would be incredible. Now, it's up to Mitchell Parker. It's going to be a fun game. And of course, you can catch that game, and I'll have that for you as a breakdown on tomorrow's Locked On Nationals. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, I will catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.